This is our first session or first meeting, and it's not the first lecture, of course. It is, our introductory session or our introductory, let's say, meeting. This preliminary or introductory lecture will be about, what's going to be covered during this course, during this semester, and we'll discuss the course syllabus in this session, and we'll know about or learn about the objectives of this course, and also we'll learn about the textbooks and the references that you are supposed to refer to while preparing for this course, and then we'll know about the evaluation, and finally we'll talk about the distribution of the topics on the 14 lectures or the 14 weeks. So it's sort of a general talk. This session will be sort of a general talk about this course. Okay. First of all, I'll be your, of course, instructor for this course. My name is Dr. Bassam Abuzeid, and this is a course that is called, Children's Literature, and it's English 489. So this syllabus is, as shown on the title. I mean, on the first page of the contents. It's a tentative course syllabus, and tentative means suggestive. We'll do our best to cover as much as possible of this syllabus. First, we start with the objectives for this course, and these objectives are here stated for you clearly. There are about 6 or 7 objectives that you need to know before you start reading or preparing for the course. So some of these objectives that this course intends to prepare you intends to introduce you to children's books and children's stories of different kinds, and to teach you how to evaluate and analyze children's books. So that also this course intends to teach you how children's literature affects the development of children, and then you will also be able by the end of the course to be able to judge on children's books, and to tell about the quality of these books. And when we talk about children's literature and children's books here, we mean the literary type of works. It's not the fictitious works, or works that are related to fiction, not to non-fiction books. So these are the objectives. They are stated for you. You can read them yourselves. Then in the next is the evaluation and the text books, the references. We have here different references stated for you. So the material for this course, or the contents, is compiled from different references, and including various or different internet websites. So I forgot to bring you or to show you my main reference used in this course. I'll bring it next time. It's a book that is called Children and Their Literature اللي هو by Constantine Giorgio. Okay, this is the third reference on the list here. So we have the first one is a study of the golden age of children's literature by Carpenter Humphrey. Two, Carpenter Humphrey again and Maria Pritchard with the book that is called the Oxford Companion to Children's Literature. And then the third, the one that I'll show maybe next time, and I relied a lot upon this reference, and I took a lot of it. It's called by Constantine Giorgio, اللي هو Children and Their Literature. Then the last, before the last, sorry, Townsend John Rowe, اللي هو with his book written for children, an outline of English language children's literature. Then the last source or reference is one of the most important of these references, اللي هو الانترنت websites. Okay, so the material is compiled from these different references. Okay, then we come to the evaluation for the course. It's something that like other courses. The 100 points will be distributed as follows. اللي هو we have 10 points for topics for discussion. We have 14 general topics about children and their literature, or about children's literature, and these questions for discussion will be of general nature about children's literature. So you do your best to give relevant answers to these questions and to these discussions, and not to copy from others. Just do your best to do these topics yourselves and answer these questions by yourselves, because this will help you a lot to improve your English, develop your language, and also helps you to improve your ability to search for information and for materials for other courses and for the future studies when it comes to higher studies, inshallah. Then we have 10 points for quizzes. There will be 3 quizzes, and the quizzes also will be sort of a material related to children's literature. So each quiz will have let's say a reading passage or an article or a poem, and on each article or poem, which are 3, on each in each quiz you'll have 3 multiple choice questions to be answered. Okay, and the first one will be you'll be given 3 multiple choice questions. The second will also be 3 multiple choice questions, and the third quiz there will be 4 multiple choice questions, and that is a total of 10 points. Then we come to the final exam. The final exam will be out of 70 points, 70 grades, but the exam will have only 50 items. So there will be 50 items in the final exam, and these 50 items will be given 70 points, and that is, let's say, 1.4, about 1.4 for each item in the final exam, and that makes 100 grades. Okay, as 100 out of 100. Next is our syllabus. I mean the distribution of topics on the weeks and the lectures. We have here 14 weeks and 14 topics that will be covered during these weeks. So lecture 1, okay, will be sort of a general introduction to children's literature. The second lecture will be week 2. Lecture 2 will be about a historical background of children's literature. Lecture 3 will also again continue with the lecture number 2, again talking about the history of the children's literature. Then we come to 4. We start a major genre in children's literature, which is poetry. Okay, we'll have in this course we'll study 2 genres of literature related to children, poetry and fiction. Poetry and fiction. Fiction, we'll come to it later. Okay, children's poetry. In lecture number 4, we talk about children's poetry, its value, its importance to children, and we'll have different let's say about 4 or 5 samples from children's poetry with analysis and discussion about each poem. So we learn how these poems fit the children's genre, and then how what they have, okay, and then what these poems have in common, and we'll talk about the main themes, okay, frequent themes that are used in children's poetry. Then we come to lecture 5. Lecture 5 will talk about another genre, a different genre that is related to more related to fiction, folk tales with fairy tales, folk tales with fairy tales. Okay, and then also we talk about fantasy. Okay, as also another a type of fictitious work written for children. So folk tales, fairy tales, and fantasy. Then in lecture 6 we'll talk about a characteristic of one of the characteristics of children's literature, realism in children's literature, and then we also talk about literary elements in children's literature. Again, in lecture 7 we do the same. Okay, we continue with the same titles, talking about children's realism in children's literature, and continuing with the literary elements of children's literature. And then we end up in lecture 7 with talking about the common themes in children's literature in general. Lecture 7 let's say will end up, okay, the discussion about the general discussion about children's literature, okay, because when we come to 8 and till up to the end of the course, okay, up to the last lecture or 14th lecture, we start reading famous short stories and that are written for children and meant to be for children, and we'll discuss each of them, and we try to analyze and see the theme in each of these stories, yes, and then we also try to find out the elements, the literary elements that that are used in each story. Lecture 8 will start with a very famous, short story for children. It's called Little Red Riding Hood, or the Little Red Riding Hood, which is a very famous piece of literature, or famous short story written for children. It is known, very well known in Arabic. There is also an Arabic version of this story اللي بالعربي بيعرفوها باسم اللي هي لها اسم خاص اللي هي ليلى والذيب, أو ليلى والذئب. Okay, it's the Little Red Riding Hood. Then we come to lecture 9. Lecture 9 also we have 2 or 3 stories. The Sleeping Beauty, Snowdrop and the 7 Dwarfs, the Goose Girl. The Goose Girl. برضو in Arabic they are also very well known. You know, these titles, I think, you know, most of you, especially ladies, okay, they know these stories very well. Okay, this particularly mothers, you know, because some of you, I'm sure, read some of these stories to their children, or if you are, you know, teachers, so you may teach, maybe you have already taught some of these stories. Okay, the Sleeping Beauty, Snowdrop and 7 Dwarfs, the Goose Girl. Lecture 10, we come to another or other titles اللي هو stories, Babes in the Woods, and then next is the Queen Bee. The Queen Bee. These are 2 stories also for children. We'll study, we'll read, and then we analyze and discuss. Then we come to, let's say, the last part of the course, starting, you know, from lecture 11. Lecture 11, 12, 13, and 14 will be, you know, for the discussion of a very famous novel written for children, and it's really a famous one, and also an interesting type of novel for children. It's an Italian, originally it's an Italian novel. It's called Pinocchio. Pinocchio by Carlo Collodi. Okay, it's a very interesting novel, but the novel is, of course, a long one, and you will not be asked to read the whole the whole novel. If you can read on your own time, you will find it, you know, really interesting, and I'm sure you will like it. But for this course and for the final exam, you will be asked only to read. You know, in lecture 11, I have already, you know, put for you the story of Pinocchio in a short form, from the very beginning to the end. Okay, Pinocchio as a short story. But this is not what you only have to do and know about Pinocchio. This is just to give you an idea about the whole story of Pinocchio. Okay, then again in 12 and 13, you'll be asked to read what's it? There were chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9 of Pinocchio. Here I'm missing here 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9. Here you have to read just to have an idea about the beginning of the story, and then what is happening, you know, till the let's say mid of the plot. What's happening, you know, in the middle of the story. So you have an idea about the beginning, the middle, and then in lecture 13 we jump up to chapters 34, 35, 36, and that, you know, these, you know, chapters, you know, represent the end of the story, just also to give you an idea about how the novel ends, talking about Pinocchio. Then the last lecture will be lecture 14. That is about, sort of a discussion about, and analysis about, the novel of Pinocchio, or about Pinocchio, its origin, and about the characters, the themes, and, elements of literary elements used in the novel. Pinocchio is, just a type of a story about, an imaginative, character who is, made out of, this character, Pinocchio, is the name of the protagonist, the main character. It's a sort of a toy, doll, a wooden toy that is made by a carpenter, and this carpenter, after making this toy, changes or transfers into a human, a little boy, and then this little boy, starts, acting, mischievously and being naughty, and then a lot of adventures, happen, and through the story, telling you about, how Pinocchio acts, with other people, and about, how he learns and develops as a child, and then it shows, Pinocchio, of course, from the very beginning, as a little, a schoolboy with a long nose, and then, this nose also, represents something, and, something that, comes, sometimes, sometimes goes too long, or it gets short when he tells lies, or when he, does, bad things. Till, the end of the story, the end of the story ends with, having, Pinocchio as a behaved, well-mannered, little boy, and, of course, as other, children's stories, and it ends, happily. And then with this lecture, introductory lecture, you'll have the contents, or part of the contents of the course, and this part is contains, the texts of the short stories, including Pinocchio. So please, from now, you may start, reading the texts of these stories that I have already mentioned, and they are written for you in the syllabus. Okay, so you have something, ahead for you to prepare. You don't need to wait for for lectures 8, 9, 10. Okay, because they are already in the contents with this lecture, with the introductory lecture. What is left, when we come to lecture 8, 9, and the rest, I'll discuss with you these stories, and then by the time we start discussing these stories, I hope that you all, have read these stories, including Pinocchio. There is a copy of this novel, Pinocchio, available at the bookstores in the kingdom here, but what they have is an abridged form, a shortened form, okay, and this is not the one that you are required to buy, so don't buy it. And if you find the complete copy of Pinocchio, that will be great. You can keep and read the assigned chapters, and also you can keep for yourselves as a reference to read whenever you really like to refer to this story. So just to tell you that what they have in the bookstores, like Jarir bookstore, they have a copy of Pinocchio, but what they have is not the complete text, the full text of Pinocchio. Okay, this is sort of an abridged form, a shortened form. So don't buy it, because you have to read the complete and full text of each chapter. You have about 6, 7, about 10 chapters from the very beginning to the middle to the end. Okay, and that's all for this introductory lecture. And I hope you get in touch with me anytime you have a question through my email. I think you all know my email, or it is at least posted for you in the website. Okay, you please, for any question, for any matter related to the course, please let me know. Contact me through my email at kfu.edu.sa. Okay, thank you very much, and that's all for me for this introductory course, and see you soon in lecture number 1. Wish you all the best. Assalamu alaikum.